Nathan Reed crouched behind the ornate column, his heart pounding against his ribs as he watched the patrol of heavily armored Khazari guards march past. Their glossy black exoskeletons clicked against the polished obsidian floor of Emperor Drax's palace. The air tasted metallic, recycled through the massive environmental systems that maintained the perfect atmosphere for the Khazari elite. "Security grid mapped and ready for bypass," whispered Talia through his neural implant. His partner waited aboard their ship, the Star Weaver, monitoring his progress from orbit. "You've got 7 minutes before the quantum encryption resets." "Copy that," Nathan subvocalized, keeping his breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Moving to acquisition point. The job had seemed straightforward enough: infiltrate Emperor Drax's palace on Khazari Prime, steal a rare artifact called the Stellar Codex, and deliver it to their anonymous client for a payday large enough to set them up for life. As one of the most accomplished thieves in the Orion Arm, Nathan had pulled off riskier heists. But something about this job felt wrong from the start. With practiced efficiency, Nathan slipped through the shadows, his chromatophore suit adjusting to match the dark surroundings. The massive palace was a monument to Drax's brutality, built by countless slave species conquered during the Khazari expansion. Every surface gleamed with wealth stolen from 100 worlds. Nathan reached the central vault without incident, which only heightened his suspicion. The security measures yielded too easily to his hacking tools, another red flag. But the payment was too substantial to walk away now. "I'm in," he whispered, as the vault door slid open silently. "Something's not right, Talia. This is too easy. Timer shows 5 minutes remaining. Get the codex and get out. We can debate the ethics after we're rich." The vault's interior was bathed in soft blue light emanating from dozens of display cases containing treasures from across the galaxy. Nathan moved purposefully toward the center where a single pedestal stood empty. "Talia, the codex isn't here." Before she could respond, a soft voice spoke from the shadows. "Because it never existed." Nathan spun, plasma pistol drawn in one fluid motion. From behind a crystalline display case stepped a tall, willowy figure. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent blue-green hue, delicate patterns shifting across its surface like living circuitry. Large almond-shaped eyes regarded him with a mixture of wariness and determination. "Lower your weapon, human," she said, her voice carrying a melodic quality despite the tension in it. "I am not your enemy." "That remains to be seen," Nathan replied, keeping his pistol steady. "Who are you?" "I am Naira, Empress of the Lumina. Or I was, before Drax's invasion." She moved closer, and Nathan noticed the faint scarring around her wrists, telltale marks of neural shackles. "And you are the thief I arranged to bring here. You're my client." Nathan's mind raced, reassessing the situation. "There is no stellar codex. The codex is real, but it's not an object. It's me." Naira's skin pulsed with light as she spoke. "My species evolved the ability to interface directly with quantum systems. I contain the access codes to Drax's entire military network." "Nathan, we've got company," Talia's urgent voice cut through his thoughts. "Multiple security squads converging on your position. Whatever you're doing in there, wrap it up now." The distant sound of armored footsteps grew louder. Nathan made a split-second decision that would change the course of his life forever. "I was hired to steal a valuable object, not rescue royalty," he said, holstering his weapon. "But I never leave a job unfinished. Stay close and do exactly as I say." Naira nodded, her expression solemn. "Get me to safety, and I promise you a reward greater than anything Drax could offer." They slipped from the vault as alarms began blaring throughout the palace. Nathan's escape route was compromised, forcing them to improvise. They ducked into a service corridor as a squadron of guards thundered past. "We need a diversion," Nathan muttered, checking his tactical display. The path to the landing pad where he'd stashed his infiltration craft was blocked by security forces. "I can help with that," Naira said, placing her palm against a nearby control panel. Her skin illuminated with complex patterns, interfacing directly with the palace systems. Suddenly, emergency protocols activated across multiple sectors, drawing guards away from their position. Impressive, Nathan admitted as they hurried toward the landing pad. A fraction of what I can do when not limited by Drax's suppression protocols, she replied. They reached the small stealth craft just as a contingent of elite guards spotted them. Plasma bolts sizzled past as Nathan shoved Naira aboard and leapt into the pilot's seat. Talia, prep for emergency extraction. We're coming in hot with unexpected cargo. The craft rocketed from the pad, weaving through the palace's defensive fire. Through the viewport, Nathan caught sight of a towering figure emerging onto a balcony, Emperor Drax himself, his massive armored form silhouetted against the palace lights. The Tyrant's roar of rage was lost in the howl of engines as they broke atmosphere. The Star Weaver appeared from behind Kazari Prime's larger moon, bay doors already open. Nathan piloted the smaller craft inside with reckless precision, the ship shuddering as they made a rough landing. Go, 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 he shouted as the bay repressurized. Talia didn't wait for explanations, immediately plotting a hyperspace jump away from the Kazari system. Nathan guided Naira to the bridge, where Talia's eyes widened at the sight of the Luminan Empress. What the hell, Nate? Who's this? Our client, apparently, Nathan replied, dropping into the co-pilot's seat. And the real target of our heist. As the Star Weaver made the jump to hyperspace, Naira gazed at the streaking stars with an expression of mingled relief and sadness. You have no idea what you've done, she said quietly. Drax will hunt us across the galaxy. He'll burn worlds to reclaim what you've stolen. I've had powerful enemies before, Nathan said with forced confidence. Naira turned to face him, her luminescent patterns pulsing with urgency. Not like this. Drax doesn't just want me as a trophy or tool. With my abilities, he controlled 3 star systems. Without me, his empire begins to crumble. Her eyes held his with intensity. You haven't just stolen property, Nathan Reed. You've ignited a war. The ship shuddered slightly as they dropped out of hyperspace at a safe distance. Nathan exchanged worried glances with Talia before addressing their unexpected passenger. Then I guess we better find somewhere to hide while we figure out our next move, he said grimly. Because something tells me this job just got a whole lot more complicated than simple theft. Naira's skin dimmed slightly, her expression grave. There is nowhere in this galaxy he won't look for me. But perhaps together, we can find a way to end his reign once and for all. As the Star Weaver plotted its next jump, Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that his life as a simple thief was over. Whatever came next would test not just his skills, but his humanity. The Star Weaver drifted through the swirling nebula clouds of the Viridian expanse, its stealth systems engaged. The colorful gases provided natural camouflage as Nathan plotted their next move. 3 days had passed since their escape from Kazari Prime, and Emperor Drax's forces were scouring known space for them. Communications intercepts confirm it, Talia reported, her dark eyes scanning multiple holographic displays. Drax has deployed his entire 7th Fleet to hunt us down. There's also a bounty, 50 million credits for the return of stolen Imperial property. She glanced meaningfully at Naira. They don't even acknowledge you as a person. Naira stood by the viewport, her iridescent skin reflecting the nebula's colors. To the Kazari, I am merely technology to be exploited. My people's ability to interface with quantum systems made us valuable tools, nothing more. Nathan rubbed his stubbled jaw, considering their options. We need supplies and information. I know a trading post on the edge of the Crimson Expanse, Waypoint Station. It's run by smugglers who hate Imperial interference. Is it safe? Naira asked. Nowhere's truly safe, Nathan replied honestly. But the station's shielded by a massive electromagnetic field that scrambles most scanning technology. If we're careful, we can resupply without detection. Talia frowned. It's risky. Bounty hunters will be watching every port. We don't have much choice, Nathan countered. We're low on fuel cells, and our food stores won't last another week. As they argued, Naira's skin began pulsing with complex patterns. She placed her hand on the ship's navigational console, and suddenly the holographic displays flickered, revealing new information. What are you doing? Talia demanded, reaching for her sidearm. Accessing your ship's systems to help, Naira explained calmly. I've identified 3 Khazari patrol vessels within the nebula. They're using dispersed quantum relays to coordinate their search grid. Nathan stared at her in amazement. You can read their communications. Better, Naira's patterns shifted into faster configurations. I can manipulate them. I've redirected their search parameters away from our current vector. The implications were staggering. You can control their systems remotely. To an extent, Naira's skin dimmed slightly, the effort clearly taxing her. Drax installed neural blockers to limit my range and capability. They're degrading without regular maintenance, but still restrict me considerably. Nathan exchanged a meaningful look with Talia. This explained why Emperor Drax wanted Naira back so desperately. With her abilities, she was the ultimate weapon, able to infiltrate and command enemy systems without firing a shot. That settles it, Nathan decided. We make for Waypoint Station. If Naira can mask our approach, we can get what we need and disappear again before Drax's forces realize we were ever there. The journey to Waypoint took 16 hours, during which Naira revealed more about herself and her people. The Lumina had evolved on a world bathed in quantum radiation, developing biological interfaces that allowed them to connect with energy systems. When the Khazari discovered them, they saw only a technology to exploit. My family ruled through wisdom, not force, Naira explained as they shared a simple meal in the ship's galley. We helped maintain balance among the star systems in our sector. Then Drax came with his war fleets. Why didn't you use your abilities against him? Talia asked. Naira's patterns dimmed to a mournful blue. We tried. But Drax had developed quantum dampening technology specifically to neutralize our advantages. He slaughtered my family and enslaved my people. Those who resisted were executed as examples. Nathan felt a growing anger at the Emperor's cruelty. And he kept you as his personal key to unlock advanced systems. Yes. The neural shackles forced compliance. For 5 years, I opened doors that should have remained closed, accessed weapon systems that devastated innocent worlds. Her large eyes reflected centuries of pain. I have much to atone for. You were a prisoner, Nathan said firmly. The responsibility lies with Drax, not you. Waypoint Station appeared on their sensors, a sprawling collection of interconnected modules surrounded by the twisted hulls of ancient ships, all rotating slowly around a central axis. The electromagnetic field surrounding it crackled with energy, making conventional scanning impossible. Nathan guided the Star Weaver through the approach corridor, transmitting forged identification codes. Naira sat beside him, one hand resting lightly on the console, her abilities ensuring their codes appeared legitimate to the station's security systems. They docked in a lower bay, away from the main thoroughfares. We split up, Nathan instructed. Talia, handle the supply run. I'll seek information. Naira, you need to stay aboard, you're too recognizable. No, Naira countered firmly. I can alter my appearance. To demonstrate, the iridescent patterns on her skin shifted, taking on a mottled gray coloration that resembled several known species. Even her facial structure seemed to change subtly. The Lumina evolved as mimics to avoid predators. It's not perfect, but it will suffice. Nathan reluctantly agreed, and they ventured into the station. Waypoint bustled with activity, traders, smugglers, and mercenaries from dozens of species mingled in the market sectors. Information flowed as freely as contraband, and Nathan led them to a dingy establishment called the Event Horizon. The bar's proprietor, a six-armed Selvaran named Jorix, recognized Nathan immediately. "Reed. Thought you'd retired after the Proxima job." His compound eyes narrowed suspiciously at Naira. "New partner?" "Just passing through," Nathan replied casually. "Looking for transport routes that avoid Imperial patrols." Jorix chittered nervously. "Everyone's looking to avoid the Khazari these days. Drax has gone berserk since someone stole his favorite pet." He leaned closer. "Word is, it wasn't just any slave, it was a Luminan royal with access to his military networks." Nathan kept his expression neutral. "Sounds like someone's got a death wish. Or a revolutionary spirit," a new voice interjected. Nathan turned to see a tall, scarred human watching them intently. The stranger wore the practical garb of a freighter captain, but his bearing suggested military training. "Commander Darius Flynn," the man introduced himself quietly. "Formerly of the Earth Coalition Defense Force, currently with the Resistance." "We're not looking for politics," Talia said sharply. Flynn's weathered face remained impassive. "Whether you're looking for it or not, you've landed in the middle of a galactic revolution in waiting." He glanced meaningfully at Naira, whose disguise hadn't fooled him. "That stolen pet represents hope for a dozen subjugated worlds." Before they could respond, the station's emergency sirens blared. A mechanical voice announced, "Warning, Imperial vessels approaching. All ships prepare for security lockdown." Jorix hissed in alarm. "They're here for someone specific. Station security is activating internal scanners." Nathan grabbed Naira's arm. "We need to move. Now." Flynn blocked their path. "Your ship will be the first place they look. Come with me, the Resistance has safe houses throughout the station." Nathan hesitated, instinctively distrusting the offer. But Naira stepped forward. "We accept your help, Commander," she said, her disguise flickering slightly as stress affected her control. Flynn led them through service corridors and maintenance shafts, eventually reaching a hidden compartment behind what appeared to be a solid bulkhead. Inside, a small group of fighters from various species monitored communications equipment. "Welcome to Liberty Cell," Flynn announced. "One of many resistance outposts fighting against Khazari oppression." A holographic display showed Khazari troops storming through the station, methodically searching each sector. Talia watched with growing alarm. "They'll find the Star Weaver eventually." "Already taken care of," Flynn assured her. "My people are moving your ship to a secure hangar as we speak. The Khazari will find nothing but an empty berth." Nathan studied the commander warily. "Why help us? What do you want in return?" Flynn turned to Naira, who had dropped her disguise now that they were safely hidden. "Because her freedom represents the first real chance we've had to strike back against Drax's tyranny." Naira's patterns pulsed with determination. "The neural blockers are degrading. Soon, I'll regain my full abilities." "And then?" Nathan asked. Her eyes met his, burning with quiet intensity. "Then we can do more than hide, Nathan Reed. We can fight back." As the Khazari troops ransacked Waypoint Station, the small group of fugitives began forming an unlikely alliance. Drax had unleashed his full might to recapture his most valuable possession, but in doing so, he had created something far more dangerous, a symbol around which resistance could rally. Nathan watched as Naira conferred with Flynn about Khazari weaknesses, her confidence growing with each passing hour. He'd started this journey as a thief seeking profit. Now he found himself drawn into something much larger, a struggle for freedom that spanned the stars. "What are you thinking?" Talia asked quietly, noticing his pensive expression. Nathan's eyes remained fixed on Naira. "I'm thinking we just changed the course of galactic history," he replied. "And I'm not sure if that's terrifying or exhilarating." Haven's edge clung to a jagged asteroid in the Cygnus void, a region where gravitational anomalies confused standard navigation. This natural protection had kept the independent settlement safe from Khazari expansion. Commander Flynn led Nathan, Talia, and Naira through the Resistance base, a vast chamber carved into the asteroid filled with fighters from various species. "Your people look at me as though I'm their salvation," Naira confided to Nathan as they stood on an observation platform. "I'm not sure I can be what they need." "Maybe that's not your decision to make," Nathan replied. "Symbols inspire people to become more than they thought possible." Over 2 weeks, Naira integrated herself into Resistance operations. As her neural blockers degraded, her abilities expanded dramatically. She could interface with systems across greater distances, extracting Imperial intelligence and redirecting Khazari patrols. One evening, Nathan found Naira in the technical lab, dangerously exhausted. "You can't help anyone if you collapse," he admonished gently. "I spent 5 years as Drax's tool," she replied quietly. "Every life I save now feels like atonement for those I couldn't." Their moment was interrupted by alarms. Flynn's voice came over comms, Khazari scout ships detected at the system's edge. In the command center, Talia reported the scouts were mapping the anomalies, standard procedure before bringing the main fleet. "If they establish a presence, they'll eventually detect the base," Nathan realized. Naira stepped forward. "I can confuse their sensors, but I'll need to get closer." Despite Nathan's objections, they deployed a stealth shuttle. Nathan piloted through the gravitational anomalies while Naira interfaced with the Khazari ships, feeding false data into their mapping systems. "It's working," Nathan confirmed. "They're adjusting course to avoid regions that are actually stable." As they returned to base, a Khazari patrol vessel suddenly appeared in their path. Against his better judgment, Nathan brought them to close range, allowing Naira to disable the Imperial ship systems. Upon returning to Haven's edge, Flynn met them grimly. "That patrol will be missed. We have 3 or 4 days before Drax traces their coordinates. We need to evacuate." As the Resistance base prepared to relocate, Nathan kept vigil over the exhausted Naira in the medical bay. "We're in too deep to walk away, aren't we?" Talia asked, joining him. Nathan watched Naira's sleeping form. "Yes. But for the first time in my life, I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Outside the medical bay, Haven's edge prepared for evacuation. The rebellion would continue elsewhere, stronger with the hope Naira represented. But as the Resistance gathered their resources, none realized a traitor was already transmitting their coordinates to the approaching Khazari fleet. The evacuation of Haven's edge proceeded efficiently. Within 48 hours, the Resistance had dismantled critical systems and prepared to scatter to secondary bases. Nathan supervised loading the Star Weaver, now designated as Naira's transport. "Final systems check complete," Talia reported. "Quantum dampening shields operational." Flynn approached with his second-in-command, a stern Alterian woman named Vex. "We've received coordinates for the rendezvous at Blackstar Station. The Resistance Council will meet us there." "The Council?" Nathan questioned. "I thought the Resistance operated in isolated cells." "Your liberation of Empress Naira has changed everything," Flynn explained. "For the first time, we have a legitimate challenger to Drax's authority." As final preparations continued, a wounded fighter staggered into the docking bay. Perimeter breach. Khazari infiltrators were waiting in the asteroid field. The base's emergency sirens wailed as reports flooded in. Khazari strike teams had penetrated their defenses with uncanny precision. "This isn't random," Nathan realized. "They know exactly where to hit us." Vex suddenly drew her weapon, pointing it not at approaching threats but at the ceiling, collapsing it to block Resistance reinforcements. In the confusion, she grabbed Flynn, pressing her weapon against his temple. "Nobody moves," she ordered coldly. "Especially you, Luminanen. You betrayed us to Drax." Talia asked incredulously. "To save what remains of my species," Vex confirmed. The Emperor promised amnesty for surviving Alterians in exchange for the Empress's return. And you believed him? Flynn struggled against her grip. I have no choice. My people have suffered enough. Naira stepped forward. There's always a choice, Vex. Drax never honors his promises. He uses fear to turn potential allies against each other. A massive explosion rocked the hangar. In the distraction, Nathan tackled Vex while Talia pulled Flynn to safety. The Alterian trader fired wildly as she retreated. They barely made it aboard the Star Weaver before Khazari troops breached the hangar. Talia launched a mid-plasma fire, bursting into open space, only to face a massive Khazari battlecruiser in orbit. That's the Obsidian Talon, Flynn identified with dread. Drax's flagship. He came personally. Nathan's blood ran cold. The Emperor would not trust anyone else with my recapture, Naira said quietly. Talia executed evasive maneuvers while Nathan targeted approaching fighters. But for every enemy craft they disabled, 2 more appeared. We're not going to outrun them, Flynn said grimly. And that battlecruiser is moving to cut off our escape vector. A direct hit rocked the ship. Port shields failing, Talia reported. Nathan turned to find Naira standing perfectly still, her bioluminescent patterns shifted to deep crimson. I can sense the battlecruiser's systems, she said, her voice eerily calm. Miraculously, the Khazari vessels began drifting off course, their weapons powering down. I can't hold them long, Naira gasped, blood trickling from her nose. Their security protocols recognize my signature. Hyperdrive ready. Talia announced. Wait, Flynn countermanded. The battlecruiser is positioning directly in our jump path. The traitor, Flynn growled. Vex must have accessed our navigation data. Nathan made a split-second decision. Change course. Take us directly toward the battlecruiser. The Starweaver hurtled toward the massive Imperial vessel, passing so close to the command tower that Nathan glimpsed Emperor Drax himself watching with visible rage. They jumped to hyperspace immediately after clearing the hull. Naira collapsed, her patterns fading dangerously. He saw me, she whispered as Nathan carried her to the medical bay. Drax doesn't want me just for my technical abilities anymore. He fears what I've become, a symbol around whom resistance can rally. Flynn joined them, his expression grim. The Obsidian Talon is faster than us. They'll track our hyperspace wake. Then we change the plan, Nathan decided. No Black Star Station rendezvous. If Drax wants Naira so badly, let's bring the fight directly to him. Attack the Imperial throne? Flynn looked incredulous. Not an attack. An infiltration, Nathan corrected. With Naira's abilities and my expertise, we can hit him where he's most vulnerable. As the Starweaver hurtled through hyperspace, none of them realized that aboard the Obsidian Talon, Emperor Drax was already implementing his contingency plan, one that would force an impossible choice between victory and survival. The Starweaver drifted through debris surrounding Khazari Prime. 3 weeks had passed since their escape, weeks spent healing and planning for what Nathan considered the most audacious heist in human history. Final equipment check, Nathan said, securing his infiltration gear with Luminon-enhanced camouflage capabilities. Talia handed him a specialized neural disruptor. This will only work once against their synaptic stabilizers. Flynn reported increased Khazari activity across all sectors. Drax has instituted loyalty purges. Anyone suspected of resistance sympathy is being publicly executed. He's desperate, Naira observed, her abilities now at full potential without the neural blockers. Their plan targeted the Imperial Citadel during the Emperor's parade celebrating 5 years since the pacification of the outer systems. Using maintenance cycles, they would approach undetected and access the quantum core in Drax's private chambers. Infiltration proved challenging despite resistance diversions. Nathan, Naira, and a small strike team descended in a modified cargo shuttle. They split up, Flynn leading operatives toward environmental controls while Nathan and Naira headed deeper into the Citadel. They fought through security checkpoints, abandoning stealth for speed when guards detected them. Alarms blared as they reached the central elevator shaft leading to the Emperor's chambers. Naira interfaced with the security systems, convincing them that we're already inside to bypass the quantum locks. The elevator ascended rapidly toward Drax's level. I sense him, Naira said quietly. Drax is already there, waiting for us. The doors opened to reveal Emperor Drax standing before the massive quantum processor. The thief returns with my property, he rumbled. How predictable. Drax activated viewscreens showing captured resistance fighters and the Star Weaver being targeted by defense systems. Your diversions were expected. Your infiltration routes predicted. If you were so prepared, why let us get this far? Nathan asked. To reclaim what is mine and demonstrate the futility of resistance, Drax snarled. Recognizing the tactical dilemma, Naira couldn't simultaneously fight Drax and help their friends. Nathan created a third option. He fired at the quantum core's cooling system, causing a catastrophic cascade. While Drax was distracted, Naira extended her consciousness outward, connecting simultaneously with the Citadel's defense network, communication grid, and security protocols. Throughout the facility, systems began responding to her influence. Security doors opened for trapped fighters. Imperial vessels identified each other as hostile. Drax lunged toward Naira, but Nathan intercepted him with the neural disruptor. They engaged in desperate combat while Naira maintained her connection with Imperial systems. I've located the command protocols, she announced. Initiating system-wide override. Drax broke free and fired at Naira. Nathan threw himself into the bolt's path, absorbing most of the devastating impact. Finish it, he gasped. Don't stop. Naira faced Drax without flinching. You never understood the true power of my people. We don't just interface with systems, we connect with each other. Throughout the Empire, every enslaved Luminan synchronized their abilities under Naira's guidance. The quantum core pulsed with blinding light as command authority transferred. Defense platforms stood down. Prison doors opened. Slave control implants deactivated. Drax's armor systems shut down as resistance fighters led by Flynn burst into the chamber. Secure him, Flynn ordered. The council will want him alive to stand trial. Is it over? Nathan asked as Naira helped him to his feet. The Empire's central authority is broken, she replied solemnly. But the aftermath will take time. Aboard the Star Weaver, they watched resistance vessels establishing a protective perimeter around evacuation ships. Throughout the sector, Imperial forces surrendered without centralized command. Later, as they traveled toward the Resistance Council meeting point, Nathan found Naira in the observation blister. I'm considering a career change, he said. Maybe diplomatic security. I hear a certain newly restored Empress might need advisors who understand unconventional tactics. The Luminan Collective traditionally maintains a diverse council of perspectives, Naira replied, her patterns shifting to warm amber. A human representative would be unprecedented, but not unwelcome. Might be complicated, Nathan observed. Interspecies relations usually are. Complexity can be beautiful, Naira replied, touching his face gently. Like the most intricate security system, challenging, but ultimately navigable with the right approach. As the Star Weaver carried them forward, Nathan realized the path ahead represented more than just the next job. Whatever challenges awaited in rebuilding after Drax's fall, they would face them together, a human thief and a Luminan Empress, proving that sometimes the most valuable things couldn't be stolen, only freely given.